Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Fly the Coop. We're so excited today to talk about investments with you. And in the house, we have Joe Schaak, who happens to also be the father of our most new member of the team, Madeline. And we are so honored to have Maddie on the team, Joe. She's just a lovely young lady. What an honor to
Yes.
meet you in person. We haven't had a chance to meet. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Excited to talk a little here, Carrie Ann.
Yeah, it's going to be super fun. So, when I met Maddie on her first interview, we were together for like 90 minutes, and it was fascinating listening to her and how she is working with you in such a really cool symbiotic way with your investment portfolio. And I thought, what a awesome opportunity to talk about what's been a common conversation out there around investments and what does that look like as a small player and somebody who owns many doors. So let's
Mhm.
just delve right in, Joe. How many doors do you own in the Twin Cities, and when did you start your investment portfolio?
So I started buying in 2003. I bought a two-bedroom single family home in the West Seventh area, and then I picked up a four-bedroom home in 2004, and then I did nothing until about 2018. Decided I was going to focus on my other career, which was directing television commercials.
Wow.
And so we, so I focused on that. And then in 2017, I just honestly wanted to take more control of my income,
Mm-hmm.
rely less on people that were making decisions of whether or not I would get work. I was still a contract worker.
Okay.
Um, so in 2017, I was also fed up with our financial planner and the retirement fund. So I transferred all of our retirement funds into a self-directed IRA
Okay.
and sought out some education on how to invest and educated myself in 2017 and 2018. Started buying real estate to flip and to hold and some to hold as rentals. So now we have 32 units as holds, and
Wow.
we've done maybe mid 40s in terms of rehabs and stuff since 2018.
Wow, that's impressive. Full-time job. So did you build out your own contracting crew to work with you, or do you collect your own
So
team each time?
yeah,
How do you
so
do that?
well, it's funny. Being in film production for years and years,
Mhm,
it was a very complementary industry in that you get a project, you assemble a team,
mhm.
you do the project, you get the financing, you assemble the team, do the project, and then you pay and you move on. So
Right,
that's kind of what I do is, my philosophy is I don't want to have any employees.
right.
Um, and
Smart
I'm
man.
trying to build, yeah, I'm trying to build this as a lifestyle business,
Mhm.
not a business. My goal is to be able to travel, 3, 4 times a year for a couple, a month or two at a time or something, and
Right.
just relax. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so so a lot of people don't know pre-recession, we were just talking about this. I was doing quite a lot of commercial and residential investment. And it's all over the board. Like you get a lot of different personalities out there that want to dabble, some very small, some much larger. So you've got a compilation, I'm assuming, of single family, you just mentioned, and multifamily. You're doing both multifamily and single, or only single family?
So kind of my philosophy now is that I flip single family homes
Hmm.
and I hold multifamily. So my portfolio now though looks like I have two single families, a couple townhomes, a condo, and then the rest are multis.
Okay, the rest are multis. And in your
Yeah.
opinion, because I do get this question a lot, so as an expert investor, what would be one of the challenges that you be
Who's an
super.
expert?
Oh, well, all it's always a learning curve, right? Like we're
Yeah.
all learning when it
Yeah,
comes to
man.
investing, but there are a lot of I have several investors in my sphere, and people will be very blunt and super honest. These are the pros and these are the cons. Like this is what you need to be prepared for if you really
Yeah.
want to delve into owning doors and being a landlord and all those things. Do you manage your own buildings or do you sub that out?
I manage them. And
Okay.
I have tried 3 times I've tried, third-party property management firms,
Yeah.
and I just haven't had luck. My view on that is that it's a flawed business. It's a flawed structure in that, I mean, most property management firms will make their biggest nut when they turn the property over and place a new tenant.
Right.
So there's inherent motivation for them to turn the property over,
Mhm. Mhm. I agree with you on
you know?
that. So if you were let's
Yeah.
start with the good, bad, and the ugly. Let's start with the ugly first. If you were to lay out like the bigger challenges in being a landlord and acquisition and ownership of investment, what would it be? And then we'll go to the good stuff.
So, I mean, so the tough thing, excuse me. So the tough things are once in a while you get a bad tenant,
Mhm.
once in a
Yeah.
while. Uh, I've learned to screen pretty well, and
Mhm.
screening makes all the difference.
Agree.
Um, Whenever I've run into poor tenants, it's 100% my fault and that I
Mhm.
didn't screen them. Yeah, I didn't screen them well, or most of the time I fell for some sob story or
Mhm.
some
Easy
type of
to
thing like
do.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And, so that's the most challenging, in terms of management of the tenants and stuff. If I have a handyman, uh, at up until about a month ago, I had a, VA that was handling most of the kinda tenant interactions, things like that, and the maintenance requests,
Mhm.
um, and, we're interviewing for another one, but, so if you can build a team like that,
Right.
the actual day-to-day management, it can get cut down to maybe an hour, if that,
Right. Right.
so it's not a big impact. The In terms of acquiring properties, it gets a little trickier now with higher interest rates. I'm a
Mhm.
big BRRRR guy, so of the 32 units that I have, I probably have maybe 10 to 20 grand of my own money into them.
Right.
Everything else was with other people's money and bank, just pulling the equity out once it's all rehabbed and stuff.
Mhm.
So the challenge now is because of higher interest rates, is those deals are a little tougher to come by.
Right.
But they're still out there. They're still out there. I'm working on 2 right now, so,
So lay the foundation because a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their brain around that. We talk about that quite a bit in coaching. Wrap put in the simplest way you can. How do you leverage other people to buy real estate? That's how we'll phrase that. How do you leverage other people's money to start your investment portfolio? I think people are fascinated by how that works and even with an explanation they struggle with it.
um,
Tough question.
well, I mean, the best way is to find a deal. Yeah, well, I mean, the best way is to find a good deal and to
Mhm.
offer a good investment to people. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's a good investment, you'll find somebody to help you out.
Mhm.
Um, and then, I also feel like not asking directly is kind of a key strategy. So
Mhm.
in other words, instead of saying to somebody, "Hey, I have this great investment. Do you wanna give me money for it?" You would say, "Hey, I got this great investment. Here's the returns I'm offering. Do you
Mhm.
know anybody that might be interested in achieving a return like that?"
Right.
And I have investors that are looking for a higher return because they're looking for a short-term placement of their funds.
Mhm.
And then I have investors who are willing to go a little lower on the return, but they want a longer time frame.
Mhm.
And they also only want like an interest only payment because they don't want to touch your principal. So
Mhm.
it really, like, you got to listen to the potential investor, what works for them, what makes it a win for them,
Right.
and see if that fits in with what you're trying to do. So,
Absolutely. So we know that 40% of the country right now, Joe, owns their property, whether it be investments, multifamilies that they've owned for 40 years or their personal homes. Uh, they're they're full equity, 100%. And it's an area I specialize in personally, life transition. And a
mhm,
lot of these people don't know where they're going. So that's why I attribute a big part of our backup in terms of inventory, generally speaking, to two things. A, half of the country doesn't know what they're going to do because they're empty nesting. They're cash heavy, right? They've been in their home
right.
a long time. They're conservative thinkers. And many of them, at least in our part of the country, we're going to talk about Minnesota, do not want to leave the roots of our state. It's a very family driven state, but they also don't
Yeah.
want to endure the winter we just came off of, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got
Yeah.
that whole thing. And then, of course, we have a lot of these people who are mom and pop investors. So the question I have for you is CDs, because I am seeing a resurgence right now of contract for deeds because these people do not want to be cashed out. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, if it works for them and it achieves their goals, why I'm not sure.
As an investor, for you,
For
would you
for
sign a
for
CD?
for me, would I purchase on a CD?
Yeah,
No,
no. So
no,
explain to the audience
no.
why you wouldn't do that because they're wondering. Like I have
Be,
people ask me this question quite often.
yeah, because I want to control. I want to own the property that I
I
have.
agree with you.
If I make improvements to the property and for some reason that goes back to the farmer, I'm out all that
All
money.
that money. Hmm.
You know,
It is a risk.
yeah, I'm screwed. But yeah, the other way, the way that I've worked that type of situation though is to do, like a seller financing where they
Mhm.
act as bank, I hold title, and then I'm just making it can be kind of the same dynamic if the seller is into
Correct.
it. Yeah.
That's why I'm asking the question because I knew you'd probably come up with that answer. But I think as an investor, it's cool from a realtor's standpoint. Great. We're fueling and providing those answers. But from a true investor's viewpoint, I think it's great for an audience interested in exploring this to understand like the fundamentals. Like we all surface dwell in the world of having a
Yeah.
conversation around investment. But when you really
Yeah.
dive into that conversation, I think this is a good one because we do have a huge volume of inventory up there that is going to be waving through, like it's going to be coming. And a lot of it's going privately. So this is a
Mhm.
conversation around private sales because of the work you're doing, paired with what do you do when they don't want to get funded out? Like they don't want a big lump sum of money. And I think that would be
Mhm.
what's going a little deeper on. So let's extend on that. Like, how do you
Sure.
make that work for you?
Um, so a couple different things on that because I have a couple deals, a couple properties right now, um, in our inventory that one is a pure seller finance, one is like a combination of a subject to slash seller finance kind of thing.
Mhm.
And it's all about the owner, the seller didn't want to take that big chunk of money. They didn't want to take that tax hit
Right,
right away. So instead of taking it all in 1 year, we were able to spread it out over several years.
right.
Um, so that helps them. It helps me because, you know, especially with the rates going up,
Mhm,
I get a better, I get a better rate basically, right?
mhm.
And you can approach it in 2 ways. One is, I always offer sellers, I always offer them a cash
Uh-huh.
basis. People are willing to finance.
Right.
I offer them seller financing with an interest only payment or seller financing with a principal only payment.
Mhm.
The principal only is usually a higher price,
Right,
but it's a better deal for me ultimately.
right. Very cool. You could turn this whole thing into a funnel, and teach people how to do this, Joe. Because there is a trick to the trade, right? I mean, let's talk about this. You spent a year of your life. We just talked about it, I think, on podcast, right? Or was that a private conversation? You spent a year studying um
Yeah.
how and where and what to do with this
Well,
before you even delved into it.
Yeah, so I went through, one of those education programs where you pay a S ton of money,
Mhm.
um, for it, and I have no regrets on that
Mhm.
because it absolutely gave me the tools to be able to go in and hit the ground running.
Yeah.
I've more than paid for that membership, and I've just spent another 2.5 years in a different mastermind, um, continuing the education, continuing to be able to get into this group of investors nationwide
Mhm.
that where I can bounce ideas off of. And so that it's not that I just spent like that first year kind of prepping and gaining all that education. It was that I spent a year getting enough of an education so I could get my foot in
Right.
the door, and
Yeah.
then the rest of that time continuing to educate and networking and meeting people and asking questions and just continuing to always, and that's the beauty about this industry is that
Yeah, I know.
there's so many different ways you can make money.
Oh, I
So
know.
many different ways.
So many different ways, and being
Yeah.
creative and being willing, I think that a lot of people are just afraid because they don't
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
they use the excuse, "I'm too busy. I don't have time
Yeah.
to figure this out." And I think that it's worth at least, what, 95% of the listeners will find it fascinating to understand the dynamics and the underbelly of what Joe Schaak is doing. But acting and listening are two different things. And
Yeah.
even if there's one nugget, I always call it a learning lesson. And even if that means they're acquiring just one piece of real estate and then decide to dabble and do another one the next year. To me, there's plenty to go around. Like there's a lot of real estate to be bought and sold out there. People
Hmm.
don't feel that. They don't see it, but it's there. It's being willing to seek it out, I call it. One of
Yeah,
the
man.
things we do, seeking it out. Mhm.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Carrie Ann. I mean, like, there's no point in being in the mentality where there's just a limited amount of resources or deals out there.
Right.
It's an abundance of opportunity for everyone. I mean, there's no reason to hoard anything. And
No. Mhm.
I'm happy to talk with anyone to go to, well, maybe not go to lunch because that can turn into a 3-hour deal, but
Yeah.
you
No.
know,
Yeah.
but I'm happy to talk with people, and I've mentored several people, and I didn't charge for it or whatever. I just, I like doing it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you like real estate.
Passionate about it, yeah,
Yeah.
passionate about
Yeah.
it, and I find it fascinating, and because we personally I've been so invested in the company with,
Mm.
the growth model and the team, which is expensive to do, frankly,
Yeah. Yeah.
and investing in, projects, personal projects. I'm actually at age 54, and I'll be perfectly honest, I wish I had started a long time ago, and now I'm delving in this year, full throttle.
Mm.
And,
Yeah.
because now it's time. Now I can put
Yeah.
time and focus by the end of this year, and, we watch all of the different market shifts over a 20-year span and the opportunities, like, I bet you wish in 2008 and 9 you were buying up
Oh,
really
man.
I know I wish but you gotta be
Man.
ready for it, right? You gotta be ready for it
Yeah.
mentally, emotionally, financially, all those things are real. So, we talked about the component of, identifying who your tenant is, and that it's one of the biggest challenges, which you're absolutely right. One of the biggest challenges is finding the right tenant, because at the end of the day, this is an energy and personality and, getting the wrong person aligned with the wrong space can be really, really a hard thing, right? And
Mhm.
we all know there's a lot of struggles out there. So that is a big challenge. And I don't disagree with you that the management companies out there is a bit of a miss on the fundamental daily routine of properly managing a piece of real estate. And I have yet in the 20 years on a large, like high scale, when you look at the management companies out there that are running the big buildings, right? The big projects,
Mhm.
there's that. That's kind of a well-oiled machine. But for the personal investor, pretty much every investor I know had to bring it in-house.
Mhm.
Kinda like what you and Matt
Yeah.
did, right?
Yeah.
You're doing a little bit of VRBO with some of yours, she's handling staging, you're doing your own
Yep.
photography, you've put your own pool of people together to take care of them
Yeah.
because you tested the ground and it just wasn't going the way you wanted it to go, and it becomes more stressful and more work outsourcing than
Mm.
just managing it, which I hate to say that because I'm all about, delegation. They say you can't
Yeah.
do it all alone, but you bring your internal team together, which is what I'm trying to get to. The internal team is an option if you're willing
Yep.
to build it. If
Yeah.
you want to
Yeah,
do
and it's really important. I mean, for us, we we like to think of our tenants as clients.
Mhm.
So we want them happy, we treat them well, we try to address any concerns they have, immediately. And the goal is to keep those tenants for,
As long as possible.
3 years at least, you know?
Mhm.
So I went from an average of a 1 year turnover with property management firms to now my average tenancy is like 3 years.
So
So
that goes
and
back
that's money.
So that goes back to your earlier comment. So one of the Achilles with outsourcing to a management company is really they want to turn over. They
Yeah,
want to turn over annually. They're not trying to keep a long-term tenant. That's a good
yeah,
piece of nugget right there, everybody.
yeah, yeah, that's
Internalize.
the deal, and they
Mhm,
they make their money, and they also make their money. I had It's a well-known property management firm in the cities. I had them managing a house, and this woman had a clogged toilet.
mhm,
They went back 3 times
mm.
and charged her like 185, and this was a
Oh,
woman that,
yeah,
she couldn't afford 185 3 times.
right.
It's $600 to get a and they never fixed it. She moved out. I hired a company to come in. And there was a little makeup compact that had been, gotten down in the toilet or whatever, and how did they not find that? How did they
Yeah.
not, you know? I
Well, and I think that in this world of, how do you say, specialization and finding quality labor and quality help, to me, I don't know about how you feel, Joe, it's gotten highly complicated. Like
Yeah,
workforce and finding really good outcomes quickly and efficiently. And then, of
yeah,
course, I call it the umbrella knowledge that used to exist that's now become so specialized. And then finding those specialists, if you will, like a good plumber, a good electrician, like you used to have a handyman that used to be able to do
mhm,
everything. It's hard to find those
mhm.
guys now. They're
Y
just, they're dying. They're not around
Yeah,
anymore. Now you've got these micro talents and
yep,
finding them is hard. So
yep.
you are running at a high risk of frustration when you try to outsource that stuff because you don't have control. And after 3 plumbers and $600 later, none of them could figure out there's a makeup compact in the plumbing.
Like, so easy.
Times a
But the
million.
thing
Times a
the
million. Yeah.
what I would say, though, is that in this case, I'm not I think it was an in-house guy with a property management firm,
Right.
and, for them, again, they're making money every time they
Mhm.
send that guy out there. That guy's costing them maybe 25-30 bucks an hour,
Easily. Yeah.
you know? So,
Yeah.
they're making a pretty good spread every time he goes out.
Yeah, I think to the listener, my takeaway here, and people are going to do what they're going to do, but I would highly recommend if even whether you're doing 1 or 100 doors, when I say doors, investment, as you're building an investment portfolio, really spending the time and building your own team is worth its weight in gold, in my personal opinion. That's what we're
100% agree
doing
with
on
you.
the team.
Yeah,
We have a massive team. Like I will 100% own there is no way I can do what I do by myself. I have
yeah,
had to delegate like crazy. And
yep,
we have for like 20 years of relationships in this city and hundreds of resources so we can be concierge for our clients. It's not an overnight thing. And those
mm-mm,
relationships all have to be nurtured and loved on, right? You got to take care of these people. because the good ones are far and few between, in my opinion. Finding really good talent's difficult to do. So, on that note, let's go to good. What's the best part of being an investor and owning doors? What's your favorite part about it?
Two things. One is the autonomy and the independence. I no longer have to wait for somebody to give me a job to earn some income.
Mhm.
I am I have, been able to structure something now so that our main source of income is our rental properties.
Mhm.
Every flip is kind of a bonus. Um, and then if I when I, direct a commercial, that's another bonus. So
Mhm.
it's a good deal that way. Um, that allows me just to do other things better because I'm not so focused on generating income all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that uh, so my my company, my marketing side of the company, the brand is Solve My Property, and part of that is that I enjoy helping people.
Mhm.
I enjoy helping people who are in a tough place with their home and can't, it's too beat up for them to sell on the open market. They don't
Mhm.
know what to do with it, or
Yeah.
they're under a timeline where it's potentially going to be demolished.
Yeah.
And we can come in and help them fix the home up. We usually have them back through so that they can see kind of what was done. They love doing that. We had a lady that the home was just riddled with mold. It
Okay.
was, skylights were leaking, and she
Oh
was a
my god.
hoarder as well. So everything that she had hoarded had gotten moldy, and I mean, it was just awful. And when I purchased the property, we were at the closing, and after the transaction was closed, she looks at me and she said, "Joe, I got to tell you something." She said, a couple years ago, I went out and I bought a big thing of groceries and put it in the fridge. I was going to make this beautiful cake. Um, and she said, I duct taped the refrigerator shut and I haven't opened it since. And
Wow.
that, so we had seen the refrigerator obviously, but we didn't know it had been in there for 2 years. Right.
Yeah.
So it was, anyway. So we
Wow.
did the house
Yeah.
and she came back through and she had lost what sent her into the tailspin was that she had lost a friend, one of her sons over in Afghanistan.
Okay. So
So
there's
she
some
kind of
emotional stuff there going on.
absolutely. So anyway, so when we finished the house, I had her back through. She brought her other son back through,
Okay.
and they walked through and they started remembering how they lived in the house,
Mm.
and how they ran in the yard, how they all that stuff,
Yeah.
and it
The
just
good.
transformed the memory for him. You
Mhm.
know,
Oh
it
my
was
god,
really
that's amazing.
yeah, it was really
Not many
cool.
people have that gift, Joe, I mean, there's very few, out there that are able to walk into something like that and navigate it, and not think, "Oh, we gotta tear it down." It's not
Uh,
salvageable, right? What a
yeah,
gift to be able to salvage, something that definitely still has beauty and be
hmm
able to create it for the next person,
yeah,
especially at
right.
a time when housing is really, I'm sure you know these analytics, but we're so down nationwide with our housing units
Yeah,
because the builders underestimated what we need. And
hmm
we have to factor in homes that simply aren't going to stand the test of time that need to come down.
hmm
We have more buyers out there than we do sellers, and we don't have enough housing, period. So when you can have going back to abundance, teaching people how this works, if they have the creative and the bandwidth, right, to be able to do it.
yeah,
What an
yeah,
opportunity for so many
yeah,
people. What an
yeah,
opportunity. That's just
yeah.
remarkable. So,
Yeah. The
yeah,
so the thing I would say about that is that, I mean, the best lesson for people to learn is that you're making your money when you buy the property.
right.
And that's what's so key is, like, people you have to buy the property correctly, and
Mhm.
that can that gets into your goals, right? Because uh, you could be buying the property as a live-in flip where you're going to go in and live in it for quite a while and just do the work yourself, and that
Right.
allows you to buy it for more. You
Mhm.
could be buying it for me, I buy it as an investor. I
Yeah.
buy it, I don't do the work. I have a team, I have contractors that do the work and stuff. So I have to buy it a little lower, but there's a whole range of like, but the key is that you have to buy it correctly and you
Mhm.
make your money when you buy it.
Yeah. Agree 100%. So when you started, do you just have your fingers all over the place in the city and you've got multiple different resources kind of keeping their eyes out, or are you tapped in? Are you licensed? Are you
No,
tapped into the MLS? Okay. Do you knock on doors? Do you just kind of
no.
scour areas? No. How do you
So
find your properties?
yeah, it's a good question because it's probably changed over the years, but I would say the best way that I have found properties are two ways. One is wholesalers,
Mhm.
um, and the other is kind of word of mouth.
Yeah.
When I first started buying, I actually uh, bought my first, I think, 5 or 6 properties off
Mhm.
online auctions.
Okay.
But that as the market, spiked and got crazy, that those opportunities went away. Then,
Yeah.
you know, um,
Yeah.
so most and we've done some deals direct with sellers, just kind of marketing to sellers, things like that too. And
Mhm.
you know,
So have you, in the time you've been investing, have you kind of built your own little investment pool of people? Like you've got a back pocket of people that want to be in on a investment opportunity with you, meaning
yeah,
money.
like finance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah. So
yeah,
how
I
did you
have.
build that out? People they're lost on that. I find like, well, where do you find the people? Well,
Yeah.
you got to network.
So so
Uh,
I'll say so the first deal I did was a property that I uh had actually went to a bank for.
mhm.
Uh, so it was a single family home, bought it online, uh used a local bank, and I did, I'll say use local banks, don't use Wells Fargo, US Bank, don't
Agree
use those.
100%, everybody,
Yeah.
100% on that.
Yeah. Use
Mhm.
local banks, credit unions might be
Credit
good too.
unions. Mhm.
Um, so I financed 75% of the purchase price plus the repairs with the bank.
Mhm.
And then I went out to friends and family is where I started
Mhm.
and found somebody that would uh, give me the other 25%.
Mhm. Good for you.
And so, yeah, so I had no money in the deal. And I think on that first deal, I made maybe $7,000. I didn't make a lot of money,
Right.
but for me, I got paid $7,000 to learn,
Mhm.
to go to college and but
Yeah.
in a hands-on way.
Mhm.
So,
Very
it was a pretty
cool.
good deal. Yeah.
So now today, 2023, what's your vision with this business you've built? What is your creme brulee? Like, what does it look like for you if you play out the next 5, 10 years?
Yeah, so I have 32 doors units now. I'd like to get that up to at least 45 units. I think
Okay.
at 45, I can bring on a full-time, well, kind of part-time, but exclusive property manager, and so I won't have to do anything with it.
Right.
And then, maybe do 1 or 2 flips a year and then spend the rest of the time traveling around just enjoying
Having
my
fun.
wife. Yeah,
Good for you.
yeah.
So where do you want to travel?
Oh, man, Chile, Galapagos, um, Iceland,
Mhm.
Thailand. Yeah,
Excellent.
tons of
So
places,
fun.
tons of
Everywhere.
places.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
I've only met Maddie. How many kids do you have?
We have 3,
3.
really pretty amazing daughters. They're all like Maddie, intelligent, whip smart, just driven, kind of self-driven. Our so Maddie is like, her, but
Mhm.
I mean, you give her something to do and she's going to do it best in I mean, she's really incredible that way, and she's
Yeah,
got a
she
great
really is.
vision. She's got great design vision. I
Mhm.
mean, she's really a motivated, sharp young lady. And then, our other daughter works in, uh, live event production, and
Oh,
she's
wow.
killing it in that as well, and she's doing really well. And then our youngest is over in the Netherlands.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, and she's at a university there full time. So she's going finishing her 2nd year
How
there. Yeah.
impressive. Good for you. Yeah.
Yeah, she's yeah.
You're, in meeting Maddie, I was such a blessing. I just have to do a shout out. This was a referral with a mutual friend, and
Mhm.
we totally, when we met Maddie, we knew that was a just a diamond. Such a blessing to have her
Uh,
on the team. Such a great
that's awesome.
opportunity to be able to work with her, and her. You're absolutely right. Her vision and her ability, just like you, multifaceted. She's going to have a tremendous career in the business of real estate, and we're just super lucky to have her on board. It's
Well,
uh,
I know she is super, super excited to be working with you and just seize that opportunity and just kick some butt. So,
yeah, it's going to be fun. And it'll be fun to watch and learn more about what you're doing. And I know
yeah.
she's super excited to find you some real estate.
Yeah.
She
Awesome.
may find all of them
Awesome.
for you. So,
Yeah.
on our parting words, Joe, do you have any advice? We could ramble for, I could talk to you for hours about this subject,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. That
uh, would any parting advice to those that are maybe dipping their toe in the water of investing?
Yeah, dive in, just take action. That's the
Mhm,
biggest thing is like take action, make offers.
mhm.
When I am like when I'm done and I have nothing on my plate and I'm like, hey, I need something. The thing I do is I just make offers. And it doesn't matter. You can make 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 offers, but
Yeah,
make the offers. There's no harm in making offers.
you're damn right on that. I mean, if you don't try, everybody, you're not going to get anywhere. You got to jump in
Yeah.
and just rip that Band-Aid off is what I always say. If you don't ask,
Yes.
you don't receive.
That's right.
And
Yep.
on that note, Joe Schaak, thank you so much. We're definitely going to have you on again as soon as you find that next investment opportunity. We want to hear the story.
Awesome. Sounds great, Carrie Ann. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. We'll see you next time, everybody, on Fly the Coop. Thank you so
All
much.
right.